Hey, it's Bucket Bacon Trees. Thanks for stopping by. Haven't made a video in a while because I've been out of town. Been working a lot. I'm going to talk about a case study today, but I was at this festival downtown in Toronto. I was in Chicago for an event doing audiovisual, and got a new puppy. So, say hi, Rosie. Okay, say hi. Say hi. Hi. Rosie says hi. She's going to have her own channel soon, but that's a whole other topic. I wanted to talk about a case study, challenges in a live sound system, or challenges for a show, especially a show that's bigger than the normal shows I do. This was the Mubahi Philippine Festival. I didn't know how many people would be there, but it's Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto, and that can hold a few thousand people, thousands of people, I guess. And there were a few thousand people showed up. I don't know how many. It was just a sea of people. Because we were working on city property, and there was no permit for a sound check the night before, we couldn't do a sound check. So that was challenge number one, no sound check. I couldn't even turn the system on, or I wasn't supposed to. I did when the lady who was monitoring for the city, she was walking around telling people, stop working, whatever. When she went away, I turned the speakers on like this much just to hear that they're all working. I needed to do that at least. It would save me some problems. So how did I set up 90% of the sound system without even listening to anything really? I used presets and I used common sense gain. I tweaked the EQ presets and I tweaked the gain the next day, and it all worked. I was like 85 to 90% there just by using equalization presets. Normally I wouldn't do that unless I knew the venue really well. Well, this was outside, so I figured, you know, the outside it's going to be challenging. But I'm not afraid of these speakers. They were really good speakers, and it turns out all the EQ presets I did with my D-curve worked, right? Like 85 to 90%, and then I further tweaked. But all the common feedback that I usually get happened between 1 and 2K. 125 and 160 in that area sounded really, really muddy, so I usually dip that out to prevent the muddiness. Sub, I usually take a bit of 40 or 50 hertz out if it's really powerful down there. So I basically put a high pass, dipped out a bit of subs, scooped out the low mids, and took out the typical 1 to 2K, in between 1 and 2K feedback frequencies. I was good to go for the next day without actually having to listen to anything. And there was one band, I think, that showed up for sound check. Anyway, so not being able to listen to the sound system and ring it out properly the night before was a challenge, which I got around somehow by using presets, as I said, and then establishing the gain structure the next day. Another challenge was during the show, somebody else working for the audiovisual company or the staging company for the city property was walking around with a sound pressure level meter, an SPL meter, and I couldn't go over 85 dB A-weighted from 20 meters from the speakers. So every time I went to 86 to 88 on average, she'd come up and say, oh, you're a little hot, and I got to turn it down. Meanwhile, in front of me, the other part of the challenge there was having the person that was actually in charge of everything in front of me saying, hey, turn it up, turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. So to get over that problem, I thought, okay, I might have to do a little bit of remixing everything. I can't just turn everything down because it's not going to sound any good. So what I did was I compressed the vocals a little more than usual. I compressed snare drum. I wasn't worried about guitars. Snare drum, vocals, all the stuff that I need peaks sometimes in to pop through the mix. I compressed them a little more than usual to keep that leveled at the top. And then I turned down guitars, and I turned down snare drum and overhead mic, and just let the vocals be the loudest thing without being the noisiest thing. So the mix, after a few tweaks, turned out to actually be okay, and I think everybody was satisfied at that point. But that was challenging because I didn't know how loud anybody was going to be. Fortunately, the backline was all combo amps. Even the musicians that brought their own amps were combo amps. Okay, so I got around that problem of battling between two desired loudness levels by using remixing techniques and compression techniques, and just basically gain riding a little bit too. Some of this was televised too, or it was going to be recorded for television, so we couldn't have any major screw-ups happening in front of cameras. That would be very embarrassing. So it was really tricky. I just, I wish I could say, hey, let me just do my mix the way I do it. I don't even mix that loud anyways. I'm not a loud mixer. But the other issue, number 3, was the stage. The stage is a large concrete structure with a glass roof. Open back and open front, but that concrete floor and the glass roof means that the monitors do actually sound really muddy when they're turned up too loud. They weren't feeding back. We had no problem with monitor feedback, but we did have a problem with muddying up the front of house mix. Oh, I think I gotta let the puppy out. I'll be right back. So yeah, I didn't have to worry about feedback at all for the stage monitors, and but like I said, I had to turn them down a bit because even the guy in charge was saying, oh, don't give them any monitors. I said, well, I got to give them some monitors. They got to hear something coming out of the monitors. But they were kind of, taking over the front of house mix. Anytime your monitors are too loud, that they're going to bleed all the low mids and stuff, and the echo from the stage is going to bleed into the front of house mix to make it sound less clear. Okay, you go play with something. Go play in traffic or something. But don't go play in traffic. Just lie there. Be good. Very good. Good doggy. Good Rosie. So that wasn't a problem, to turn the monitors down to clean up the front of house mix and balance it so the musicians could hear just enough of their vocal or guitar or whatever they wanted. Okay, that was another problem. The problem that wasn't as big as other problems. The other problem was the lack of scheduling, or I should say the lack of good scheduling. There was no scheduling for teardown time. For changeover time for acts. We had dancers. We had performers, we had, an ensemble of string instrument players, we had bands, just about everything happened on that stage that day and night, and then a big, huge fashion show, which was like the big show at the end of the night. That's the thing that really had to shine, and that's with wireless microphones and a lot of choreography and cueing of music and videos and stuff like that. So the scheduling was very, very poor. I worked with it the best I could. I had a stage assistant, Raquel. Thank you very much for helping me out. She was great, working all day, helping me mix and helping me change over and stuff like that. But we had to move the drum kit, take all the mics off the kit, take all the mics and cables and push them aside and get the stage ready for dancers. Then at the end of that, a band is going up, and we virtually have no time to change over. So we're up there, putting all the mics back on the drum kit and putting all the cables back, and they were all labeled, thanks Raquel, that was a great idea. And the announcer's going on, here they are from Mississauga, and she introduces whatever band, and we're like, well, we haven't even got the mics plugged in yet, so you might as well tell a joke or something. Keep the crowd occupied for another 6 minutes so we can plug this stuff in. One of the other major challenges was that on city property, setting up a stage is considered construction, which means you have to have a hard hat, safety vest, and the proper steel-toe boots. Which meant that since I'm a front house mixer and I'm considered industrial, I don't need the hard hat. I wasn't going to go run out and buy like a $150 pair of steel-toe boots and get a hard hat and a safety vest. It's like, look, I want to do the gig, but I don't. Maybe somebody else could actually do that part as long as I don't have to go buy that stuff. Because I'm not into construction. I just don't do it. Not interested in lifting things and building stages. I'd rather just mix, right? So anyway, so we worked it out. I was allowed to be there, but I couldn't go beyond the fence during setup. So there was just some things I wasn't allowed to do while they were having the cherry picker, putting up the jumbotrons and stuff like that. So it was a little tricky. I had to make sure that the people who were watching for this stuff were kind of turned around and looking the other way or in some other location, so I could actually cheat a bit and get in there and wire things properly. But anyway, so it was it was a challenging event. Glad I did it. There's a lot of people there, a lot of happy people. It's always challenging because outdoors is different than indoors, but I didn't find it really it's not like in this. I've done outdoor shows before, and I never really found it like a night and day difference. I know inside, yes, you have a room to deal with, and maybe you're going to have different resonant frequencies and different harmonics, possibly from standing waves, depending on how big the room is. And outside, you're going to have air masses going different ways, like when the hot air versus cold air in the morning versus the evening. But we didn't change the speaker configuration at all. In fact, it worked for most people. And Most of it was mixed in mono because the speakers were so far apart that you can't pan too much far left or right, because if you do a guitar hard pan left, or even like 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, people on that side aren't going to hear this guitar as well. So I would do like 11 and 1 or 10 and 2 or something like that, but not too much difference so that people could still hear enough of that other instrument in the other side of the speaker. And that's about it. It was a very challenging gig. I have some pictures that I'm going to insert here, and until next time, thank you very much for dropping by and clicking this video, and please subscribe, and I'm going to work harder at putting out more videos. I've been accumulating, and I've just been really busy for the past few months doing a lot of work, and it probably shows. Thanks a lot.